Ruskin Bond. These are a few of my favorite things. I took this book from Public Library, Trivandrum. This book, the first in the These Are a Few of My Favorite Things series, gives you a quick peek into the favorites of one of India's most well known authors, Ruskin Bond. Books. I have loved books all my life and have read thousands of them. I keep books on shelves and tables, in cupboards, in the attic, and under my bed. I give away books, but still they keep piling up. There are favorites that I have had for many years, and these I cherish. Some are storybooks, others, books of travel, biography, history, philosophy, and poetry, and detective stories, and all comic books. Authors. When I was a boy, I read R.L. Stevenson's Treasure Island and John Bachan's The 39 Steps, great adventure stories. I also enjoyed The Plays of J.M. Barrie and Rabindranath Tagore, and the novels of Charles Dickens and Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and of course Agatha Christie and P.G. Wodehouse and W. Somerset Maugham. Poems and poets. I have always enjoyed the poems of Walter de la Mare. He wrote of nature and the supernatural. His best known poem is The Listeners. Other great nature poets were John Clare, Robert Herrick, William Wordsworth. Tagore too was inspired by nature as well as children. So was Sarojini Naidu, who wrote some lovely poems for children. I have also enjoyed humorous poets like Ogden Nash and, of course, Edward Lear, who wrote all those funny limericks. Films. I grew up on films, mostly black and white films. Black and white brought out the acting skills of the performers. Some great films were made in the 1940s. The Good Earth, Brief Encounter, The Third Man, Citizen Kane, Great Expectations. Actors and stars. Charlie Chaplin was famous all over the world through his silent film comedies. Just as funny were Laurel and Hardy, Buster Keaton, and the Marx Brothers. My favorite Indian film star was Madhubala, so beautiful and vivacious. Music and musicians. Sorry, kids, but you will have to put up with a little grand opera I grew up listening. I have also enjoyed the folk music of India and other countries. Food. When the American film director Alfred Zucker celebrated his 100th birthday, he said, "If I would known I was going to live so long, I would have taken better care of myself." Nowadays, we are constantly being lectured on what we should or should not eat, but I don't think it makes much difference. I confess to a liking for plain bread and butter, but I am told butter is bad for you, flour is bad for you, so I might as well eat a turkey or a rich plum cake and be happy. Places. There's no place like home. You can travel all over the world, but sooner or later you will be happy to head for home, even if it's only a hamlet in the hills. When I was a young man, we usually traveled to distant lands by sea. Air travel was still in its infancy. Voyages on those big oceans liners were great fun, unless you went down like the Titanic. Travel. The voyage from Mumbai to London took almost 3 weeks with stops at Aden, Port Said, Marseilles, or Gibraltar, where you could go ashore for the day. Today, by air, you can be in London in 8 hours, but you won't be seeing much along the way. In India, we still travel a lot by train. We have the largest and most intricate railway system in the world. Games and sports. When at school, I used to take great care to come last in the marathon so that unnoticed I could stop at a small sweet shop for jalebis and samosas. I disliked long races. I hated early morning PT and dodged it whenever I could. Where is Bond today? Our games master would call. Still in bed, sir, came the answer from one of his favorites. But I was a pretty good football player with a strong left footed kick, and I seldom missed a penalty. Hobbies. Reading was my chief hobby, and as a result, writing became my profession. I used to go fishing with some friends. We seldom caught anything, but it was fun just to be doing nothing on the banks of a stream or river. I liked walking long distances and used to cycle a lot too until I collided with a bullock cart and ended up with my arm in plaster. If I had the space, gardening would be one of my hobbies. People. The world is full of them, and generally, I get on well with all kinds of people except those who want me to do early morning PT. Stories are about people, and so for a writer, they are indispensable. The best story writers are those who have written about people in all walks of life. O. Henry in the USA, Chekhov in Russia, Premchand in India, Dickens in England. These writers did not restrict themselves to just one class of people. They were concerned with all humanity. Teachers, eccentric people. One of my best teachers at school was Mr. Johns, who came to class accompanied by his pet pigeon. Sometimes the pigeon perched on his bald head. The pigeon never interrupted our English lessons, but when the period was almost over, it would coo gently, reminding us all that it was time for the lunch break. Mr. Jones was not highly qualified, but he was a natural teacher and his classes were never dull, not with that pigeon around. Spooks. Whenever I run out of stories about people or animals, I cook up a ghost or two. Do I believe in ghosts? Not really, but I keep seeing them. Perhaps they have something to do with our dreams. This old house is haunted by a Christmas party being held about 100 years ago. Late at night, I can hear people singing old fashioned ballads in my sitting room. But when I look in, there is no one there. But the other morning, I found a Christmas cake on my bedside table. It tasted good too, but who left it there for me? Trees. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree. So went an old song, and I have always thought of trees as God's special gift to this planet. For a world without trees would not be a place where people could survive for long. So let there be trees, those tall green friends who give us fruit and shade and shelter and birds and small creatures. Flowers. I can't live without flowers. I must have one or two in my room. It could be a single red rose, or a bunch of sweet peas, or a geranium near the window, or a sweet scented petunia. And out in the open, I love to walk among sunflowers and cosmos and tall hollyhocks, just like a sunflower after a summer shower. My inspiration when I write. Nature. Nature became a part of my life and an essential part of my writing when I moved to the hills some 50 years ago. I took a cottage near the forest, and there I found myself becoming a part of the forest life around me. The birds who nested in the trees and bushes, the beetles who flew at the windows, the squirrels, the little bat who visited me at night, and sometimes a leopard slinging across the footpath. And there was a cherry tree outside my window. Nature is so perfect. Why must we try to destroy it? Funny experiences. A fond mother brought her little boy to see me and said, he studies your book in school and wants your autograph. And what's the name of the book, son? I asked. He stood smartly to attention and said, Tom Sawyer. So I signed Mark Twain in his autograph album and he went away quite happy. Disasters. Some of my cooking efforts. You must try my Indo Irish stew. Wicked moments. I wasn't very wicked as a boy, although I did introduce a couple of mice into Aunt Ruby's bed and watched her run screaming from the room. And I did make an omelette for my Uncle Ken using a cross egg instead of a hen's egg. I was good at making omelets, sometimes with mysterious ingredients. But don't be too inventive. Stay out of trouble. Memorable moments. I wake up at daybreak, go to my window, and watch that rosy glow over the horizon that heralds the arrival of a new day. New day, a new day every day. Here comes the sun, the most memorable moments of each and every day. A new beginning for all of us. Don't miss the sunrise, it gives hope and energy. And when night comes, sleep well. We are not alone, we are all part of the Milky Way. That's all.